Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 16 of Matrix Live, here from the window ledge of the open market offices where we continue to squat. They're going to kick us out on December the 31st, whatever.
So only 2 months left, so we're making you enjoy the sunset, inexistent sunset.
Yeah, I guess the idea is that even if we're really boring, you can always look at the sunset, and hopefully it won't be too badly. And even better, you can go and take the scrubber on YouTube afterwards, and you can quickly zip it back and forth, and hopefully see the sun go, which would be really fun. If you didn't do that last week, you should have, by the way, because the shadows on the wall behind us were going in a similar sunset kind of manner. So you're missing out if you didn't. What are we talking about?
I guess funding as a start.
Yeah, let's do funding.
So thank you to all our donator with the Patreon cutoff happening yesterday. So we broke a record with more than $3,200 from Patreon, plus all the others on the side. So again, thank you people for all your support. That's great. Meanwhile, we're still working on our liberation. It's slow progress, but steady. And we actually just wrote a huge, glorious countdown tracker of doom spreadsheet to chart out the path of being supported and our freedom.
Yeah, hopefully this is going to make folks on the core team realise that there is light at the end of the tunnel beyond the Patreon support that we're getting at the moment. And thank you to everybody we're speaking to about long-term support there. Should I talk about Riot?
Yeah.
Okay, Riot Web. It's been a bit of a kind of polishing week, although some new stuff is happening too. On the polishing side, it's been lots and lots and lots of group polishing. I think there have been about 30 bugs which got filed after we first released the group's UI in Berlin back on October the 19th. So here we are. A few weeks later, Luke particularly has been knocking these down. Travis has been setting them up. And it's really starting to look good. We should expect to get a release, I think, next week. And I know I said that last week, but it's just been another wave of refinement on it. And a whole new wave of stuff has come in the form of settings.
Settings.
So settings are annoying because they're obviously super important. And right now they are infamously impenetrable in Riot.
Described as visual vomit.
Indeed, I'm sure we've mentioned that before, but
Yeah,
basically we have it sticks in our mind thanks to the Google product manager who volunteered to be filmed using the app, and I literally had some kind of seizure on looking at the user settings page, and it's not wrong, to be honest. The problem is twofold. It's not just visual, it's also semantic. And something that I've been banging on about for ages is the concept of granular settings. The ability to set up the behavior of the app such that you can provide a hierarchy of preferences for how you use an app. And that sounds potentially completely over-engineered and complicated, and we're not remotely exposing the whole hierarchy, but at least conceptually within the app have the idea that you can have kind of global defaults, you can have defaults for a particular deployment set up in config.json, you can have the defaults for a particular room, you can have the default set by the admin of that room, you could have the default for a room on a particular device, and you can have a default for your account in general and a device in general. So you basically, that's not the correct order, but either way, you've got about 8 different levels of granularity if you want to do something like, I don't know, change the compact themeness or hide joins and parts. In fact, hiding URL previews or showing URI previews is a really good example because it's something that you might want to turn off on a particular room for everybody, or you might want to turn it off for yourself on a room, or you might want to turn it off for a particular device. But wouldn't it be nice if it was all gone and handled with the same infrastructure? So Travis Ralston from the community has very kindly stepped up and done the magnum opus of refactoring the entire settings architecture of Riot Web to actually support this. The PR is almost done and it's looking really, really, really good. And thank you so much, Travis, for doing this. And it's also meant that we've unblocked the whole process of thinking about the UX problem here, which is both visually having the controls follow the same visual patterns, the same kind of design rhythm, which currently just is missing. And also supporting the granular settings in a sensible way so that we don't end up like copy pasting the same controls between room settings, user settings.
And also the fact that what you just described probably have made people run away saying, oh my god, it's going to be even worse, while what we're trying to do on the UX is also simplify it so that if I'm a user who don't need all this level of granularity, I can actually just tweak one or two things and I don't get drawn into this huge pile of options. And while when I'm a power user, I do actually want to find the very small, tiny tweak to set. So again, still a matter of compromise. That's what happens when you actually build an app which is made for power user, but that we also want less power user, let's say, people to use. So everything is about finding the right compromise, which we haven't yet.
Indeed. And I guess one aspect of that Tom on our side and Travis have been working on together, I think, has been what the user settings page should look like. And I think the idea at the moment is to basically split it up into about 7 sections. You have some tabs on the left-hand side, which let you go and jump down to the various different things like personalization, notifications, cryptography, blah, 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 blah. And as a first step, and then the second step, as Amandine is saying, is to have a simple settings kind of overview before you jump into the detailed stuff. Either way, we've got Travis did a mock-up in a little JS fiddle that looks amazing, and we can't wait to have it. And you might think we've gone insane going on and on about this, but in practice, I think it's one of these things which will make the app feel a hell of a lot more polished once it finally lands. Look, the sunset's happening. You can see crazy pink clouds behind us. How cool is this? So that's setting stuff. Also on Riot Web, merging the Status custom theme is something I've been working on. Should be landing in the next couple of working days. Also, there's been lots of work happening from Dave and myself looking after the Status deployment and the TenX deployment for the crypto communities there. Had some interesting stuff with the first aggressive pen testing that we've seen on a Synapse deployment, courtesy of the TenX deployment, which looks luckily not to have thrown up any problems, but that was kind of interesting, digging around in the guts of a Synapse, which somebody has hit with a pen tester. What else? Dave's been doing never-ending epic on @room notifications still.
Bing.
Yes, sorry for begging everybody by saying @room. This is almost done. It's basically been fixing up the UI to look correct, to have pills in both the composer and the timeline, whilst juggling with everything else going on. But I think it actually all landed last night, and so should be in the release coming up next week. And then finally, most excitingly of all, we have a return to end-to-end encryption at last. It hasn't actually started yet, but the plan is, not that he knows it, but the plan is for Dave and myself to and Manu to go and pick up this sort of lowest hanging stuff which remains on end-to-end, which should hopefully make everybody feel a lot happier with their lives.
Yeah, 1 year later.
Yeah, cool. I'm sorry it's taken so long, everybody, but it's going to be worth it.
Yeah.
Tell us about Riot Mobile, Amandine.
Well, the Riot Mobile hasn't moved very fast because there was a lot of holiday in France this week, but there were some progress on investigating an horrific logout bug on the latest release. But actually, it has been around before that, so it also exists on the App Store version. So
does it?
Yeah, apparently they found that this morning. So so it's very strange. Sometimes you launch Riot iOS and it disconnects. You've been logged out, and it's hard to track.
This is pretty annoying because it destroys your end-to-end keys.
Yep.
I'm surprised and alarmed that it's on the App Store version. If anybody listening to this happens to be one of the handful of iOS users we have, please tell us if you see it spontaneously logging you out, because it shouldn't do that.
Yeah. So basically, this is the main blocker on releasing the latest version to the App Store, because we really want to fix that. But in parallel, Manu has been doing some progress on the end-to-end, the key sharing, basically implementing key sharing on mobile, and Guillaume has been working on the groups, starting implementing groups and communities on iOS. So that's in progress on mobile side, while Yannick have been trying to have holiday.
Yeah. Although we did get an exciting email, didn't we, on the French side? Although we're
Yeah.
probably not allowed to talk about it.
Not sure we are allowed.
Suffice it to say that some very interesting people in France suddenly got in touch saying, wow, this looks great. We're trying to make our insert the organization you're probably thinking of a lot more efficient and modern. We want to use Matrix. Can you help us deploy Matrix everywhere? Which would be kind of cool. What else? Synapse. Synapse has basically been stuck in nightmare sysadmin hell. It's probably because Erik's on holiday, therefore weird and wonderful operational problems with the matrix.org synapse.
Matrix.org doesn't like when Erik is not around.
Yes, so clearly that's what's happening. It's nothing at all to do with the fact that Erik is single-handedly keeping the matrix.org synapse running, but clearly it's complete coincidence that home server starts misbehaving when he's away. And honestly, this time it hasn't been that bad. It's just been dealing with weird Postgres database problems where, for whatever reason, it started to auto-vacuum tables in such a way that locks the table, like at 5 o'clock this morning, for instance. And it takes ages to do the vacuum, and so we've had to basically do a lot of time trying to tune the vacuuming behavior to stop the whole thing wedging solid. Roll on Dendrite, although Dendrite has also not had much progress, because, again, Erik's been on holiday, although we have had a really good PR from Anoa Dragon 453, which implements the Federated Query Profile API, which is a pretty hardcore and very useful one to have. Querying over Federation is kind of the general purpose grab bag of get me random bits of information about users and rooms over Federation that doesn't go over the general PDU push interface. So it's really the pull interface over Federation in some ways. And the fact that we hadn't had it so far was pretty embarrassing. So it's very, very cool that we have it now. So thank you very much for that. And sorry that we took a while to review it because everybody is away. Widgets?
And on the widget side, it's mostly polishing and killing bugs on various platforms from Rick's side.
I should have said on the Synapse side of things, we also went and wrote a custom auth module for one of the paying customers who are helping us keep the lights on. And the actual auth module itself is proprietary to that customer, and it's proprietary to their proprietary system. But the proprietary bit itself is only about 3 lines of code, whereas the rest of it has been a really good opportunity to dust off a lot of the modular auth stuff. So you can now do things like expose your database of your Synapse into an auth module in case your auth module needs to store some gubbins in your Synapse database, and it generally has helped the structure a little bit. I think that's about it.
Yeah, I think so.
Should we see what's happening in the sunset? Oh, look, it's all gone pink and beautiful. And, oh, they can see our teleprompter. Not that we use a teleprompter. These things are always completely spontaneous, live, unscripted. Let's go and look out the window at everything. Oh, you can really see the teleprompter now. You can also see that we're using the Jabra headphone this time. Microphone.
Because apparently I was not projecting enough. So
yeah, you need to project from the diaphragm, and well, hopefully the audio will be okay. Assuming we remember to select it. I think we did. Yeah. Let's see if we can actually look out the window down 15 floors to the housing estate opposite and see yet more of a reflection of the window and my sublime edit. And this isn't really working, is it?
No.
Well, at least look at the pretty pink sky. There you go, everybody.
Just the light on your screen.
Okay, well, anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Have a wonderful weekend, everybody.
Indeed.
Thanks for flying Matrix.
Bye. Have
Bye.
a good weekend.